No. And here we are. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Nova Holistic episode 5. My name is Diana from diana.org, and please help me welcome beautiful Dominique from the Pillars Naturopathy. Welcome, Dominique. How are you, darling?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. We've been trying to tie this little episode together for a few weeks now, right?
We have, yes. And it's finally worked out.
Yeah, that's really great. So for just in terms of full transparency, Dominique is actually my naturopath, and I really wanted her to come on and talk to all of us about the benefits of naturopathy. But even before that, what is naturopathy? Because there seems to be a lack of clarity, I guess, with regards to what is this extraordinary modality and how it can help us, and what does it do, and what are the benefits, and how it can help you every day. So let's begin this conversation by asking you, do you mind if I call you Dom now?
Yeah,
that I've called you Dominique for
yeah.
to introduce you.
Of
So, Dom, tell us a little bit about naturopathy, starting this podcast with the education aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am in my final stages of studying my naturopathy degree, and that is a Bachelor of Health Science, majoring in naturopathy, and that's I'm doing that through Endeavour College of Natural Health in Sydney, and you know it is so naturopathy is an evidence-based practice, which I think that's forgotten a little bit. So it is, natural medicine, and we sort of encompass all things. We use herbs. Yes, we do use herbs. We use nutraceuticals, so nutrients. We use, all sorts of different tools to sort of help heal the body. But we use, the body's innate ability to heal itself. And we just support the body using sort of the least toxic interventions. And we use, obviously, it's a holistic modality, and we start, like, our case taking and an appointment with a naturopath is, it's a very in-depth session which covers, what brings you in today. We sort of review all the sort of different body systems. So, your gut health, mental health, nervous system. So, all the cardiovascular, all sort of, they all relate to each other. And, they're questions that, a doctor may not have asked you before, but they all, to us, do all connect, and they all are relevant. And, symptoms that the body is experiencing is your body's way of communicating to you that something is going astray. And we sort of look at those symptoms and we try to find the underlying cause of what is causing those symptoms. And it's a very in-depth consultation because we're like detectives, and we try and get the most information to sort of reach a better health outcome for our patients. And we use pathology, so diagnostic testing, to support, we not necessarily a diagnosis, but to support, our what we believe is going on, and then sort of can create an individualized treatment plan from that. And yeah, everything is tailored to the patient. It's patient-centered care, and everything is individualized because we are all unique. Our needs are unique, and to treat people as if it's a one-size-fits-all approach it's not working. We know that, and yeah, it's not the best interest for our patients.
I have to tell you, I mean, I have engaged a naturopath, I should say, in my life. I've used naturopathy for easy, probably 20, 25 years. So I am familiar with naturopathy. Listening to you talk is extraordinary because it validates to me, and I hope to the audience, exactly how I see naturopathy, which is that you are a doctor or a GP, but you don't prescribe pharmaceutical medicines. You prescribe natural medicine. It's literally the difference. And the language you use, the way you are trained, the way you present and care and talk about it being patient-centered care, holistic care, is truly extraordinary. It's amazing. I'm so glad that you're here because it's really important to make sure that people understand that you're like, going to a naturopath is like going to your local GP, but you don't get a 15-minute appointment. You get an hour and a half appointment, and you get a thorough examination that is guaranteed to be customized to your needs specifically and to your health. So therefore, it gives the best possible, or it offers the best possible outcomes.
Absolutely. And that's what I think all naturopaths are there to better the health of other people, and to sort of support people through their healing journeys. And I think everyone listening has had some sort of disappointing experience with general practitioners. Obviously, there are amazing GPs out there. I've worked for some. But, generally speaking, I think me personally, I joined the, my sort of, I wanted to become a naturopath, and I jumped ship from studying a Bachelor of Medical Science before this degree, because I, feel like this is the way of the future. Seeing people as individuals, and, not sort of that Band-Aid approach to treatments. For me personally, in my history of seeing GPs, it wasn't working. And time again, I was disappointed and felt like I wasn't being listened to, wasn't being heard, wasn't actually getting anywhere. And was my best interest at heart? Probably not. So yeah, that's kind of why I found my way into naturopathy. And I think majority of my peers at uni and other students and other naturopaths, we've all sort of had something that's led us down this path, to, help the future health of others. And that's really all I want to do in life, is help others and educate. One of the naturopathic principles is doctor as teacher, and educating people to impact, take responsibility for their health. And that, how empowering is that? You know, to actually know why you're taking this substance and what it's going to do for you. And, you know, you leave a doctor's appointment, you come out with multiple prescriptions, you go and get them filled at a chemist, and you actually don't know what they're doing, what are the side effects, what, you know, what now, like what next? And majority of, you know, of those prescriptions, they're sort of lifelong treatments. When, you know, did you need to be on it for that long? Is it's not really solving what the, you know, solving the root problem, the root cause of those different symptoms and, you know, different expressions of disease. But yeah, I think, you know, and being able to, there are a time and a place for both naturopathy and Western medicine. But I think utilizing both of them is sort of, that's where, you know, the magic happens. But yeah, it's hard as well, because as a naturopathy student, as a student naturopath, I think there's not really much respect for what we do and what we learn. And, you know, I think people don't understand that it is a science degree. It is a Bachelor of Health Science. I studied medical science for 2 years before this degree, and I've been studying this degree since 2017. And it has been an enormous, you know, journey. It is very intense. You know, we study pharmacology, pharmacognosy, you know, and it's the way that, you know, drugs and herbs interact in the body, you know, and that's so important because, yes, you know, they're natural substances, and herbs, you know, they're natural, but they are potent, they are powerful, and they shouldn't be self-prescribed. So understanding how they actually interact in the body is absolutely essential. But yeah,
I really, yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just really want to make the viewer understand how important that is, because sometimes with natural medicine, there's this unfortunate perception that you can just walk into a chemist's warehouse, ask the customer service person about what to take, and without really understanding, you can get a bottle of some natural thing, thinking that you're doing the right thing. But if you don't really understand how it's interacting within you, then it may be a pointless exercise, at best a waste of money. At worst, it can actually have you know, adverse effects. So yeah, so I'm going to, just for the purposes, I mean, I know you know this, but if you don't mind, I want to share a quick story from my own experience in terms of natural medicine. So many years ago, when I was in my early 20s, I decided that I was going to be vegetarian, which is fine in itself. Looking back now, I say that I did it for the wrong reasons, because what ended up happening, without me fully understanding the effect that was going to have on my body, what it did is created a really acidic gut. So I wasn't processing things, like, you know, anything that I was eating anyway, just wasn't absorbing properly, and created a ripple effect of problems for me further down the track, or that I discovered further down the track. And then eventually I worked out that because my gut had a lot of acid in it, it would, you know, short version, kill off a lot of the nutritious stuff that I was eating. And I was trying to lose weight and I was doing all the right things, but none of that mattered because it wasn't being absorbed properly. It wasn't being set up properly. So my point, going back to sort of what you were saying and what I was saying, is that it really helps to understand where your body is at, number one, that it's not one size fits all, that it requires a personalized approach, an individual approach to health and well-being. But the most beautiful thing about it is that the body knows what it needs to do, given if it's given the right support, right?
Absolutely.
And I love naturopathy. I don't think that it's for me to study it in this lifetime, certainly not now, but I have such respect for it because it has supported my journey in ways that I don't even think I have words to describe it. But I found naturopathy to help with, anything from a normal everyday cold, and some of those things to fertility issues, natural fertility. It's amazing. Tell us about some of the ways or some of the, I mean, keeping in mind confidentiality. Tell us about some of the amazing cases that you've had and that you've worked with. Share with us some of the ways in which naturopathy can help.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a big one is gut health. Gut health. Let's try and say that really quickly, multiple times.
Actually, when you finish telling us what are the things, tell us why gut health, and maybe explain to us a little bit about why gut health is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's probably the number one thing I have seen in my time in student clinic, is people that have put up with these sort of symptoms for too long and they've become their normal. And we sort of forget that, bloating every day and after every meal, or, not even after meals or after eating, bloating, that's not normal. It's common, yes, but it's not normal. A lot of female reproductive sort of disorders, amenorrhea, which is missing periods, or that's a very common one at the moment, which has multiple different causes, but a big cause of that is stress. We are all very stressed, and even people that say they're not stressed, stress doesn't have to be that sort of, I'm so stressed all day every day from my job. It could be physical stress, over training at the gym, not sleeping enough, under eating, things like that do put your body under stress. So it's not just that you don't feel stressed at work, your body actually could be stressed. But stress, causes a lot in the body, which we know, but it probably more than we think. And it's easier said than done to de-stress. But yeah, gut, and that, stress does impact the gut as well. But gut health is, gut health, between gut health and female reproductive sort of disorders and issues are what I've seen most commonly. And just supporting people's mental health as well. But gut health is so important because it's even our bowel movements. I thought to myself, I'm not going to talk about this on here, but as naturopaths, we love talking about bowel movements because it's like a report card of your health, and there's so much that so much information that we get from talking about bowel movements. And as I said before, people do put up with sort of different symptoms for a really long time, and that becomes their normal. And they don't.
I'm just gonna interrupt you right there. You're talking about symptoms. Tell us what are some of the symptoms that we are putting up with that are actually red flags we should be paying attention to.
Absolutely. So not going to the toilet every day and being constipated is a red flag. Having loose stools or diarrhea every day is a red flag. Blood in stools, mucus in stools, bloating, these sort of symptoms, they're uncomfortable, but, you do put up with them for a while, and then you sort of lose track of what is normal. And you kind of adapt, the body adapts to, we're very adaptable beings, but we sort of adapt to a situation and then it becomes our normal. I have dealt with that myself with gut issues in the past, and that just became sort of my normal. And then I realized, I had all these other sort of symptoms that were related to my gut problems, like skin problems, rashes.
Yep.
Yeah, and immune problems, just, things that were sort of my body calling out for help, going, I need support. And then it made me, stop and really think about what was going on in my body. And then, we have patients that come in as well, and you start asking them these questions and they're going, oh, no, that's all good, or like, that's normal. And I go, well, what is normal? Because what is my normal is probably different to your normal. Or, some people that say, I eat a healthy diet. Okay, well, what's your version of healthy? Or, mine might be different, or for example, but, yeah, just sort of figuring out. I think, sorry, what I was saying was, when you do ask these questions, people then do stop and go, oh, hang on. Yes, I have put up with that for a really long time, but it's that, that's not normal, or that does happen for me, or, and then you sort of start linking these things, or even, side effects from medications, and you question them, well, when did these symptoms start? Oh, they started when you started taking something, or, for example. So it just sort of, the consultations can be quite eye-opening for people, and it's great just sort of, empower them and educate them, and sort of let them reclaim their health. I think, I personally absolutely love it.
Yeah, yeah. That's really great. Okay. And then the three things that you mentioned as most commonly showing up in clinic.
Yep.
So gut health, reproductive system stuff, and mental health.
Yep.
Tell us, why do you just an observation? Why do you think there are so many problems around reproductive health at the moment? Like, what is that about? Is it generational? Is it the way we live? Is it environmental? What do you think? If you're happy to share that.
Yeah, no, of course. Well, when you think about it, a lot of females get put on the pill when they start menstruating. Myself personally, I was 14 and I got put on the pill for my acne, which, looking back on it, I cringe. My poor body wasn't allowed to, develop a healthy menstrual cycle really before getting put on a synthetic form of hormonal contraception.
Okay. All right. I just want to, okay. So anybody listening, right, who doesn't see who's not concerned about that, or mothers that have 14-year-old daughters that are considering taking those steps, as in putting their girls on, the pill, or whatever other, things are out there. I don't have a girl. I have a 17-year-old boy, so I don't have to worry about this. He's not likely to be on the pill anytime soon, but so I'm curious about this because I have my own personal pill story as well. But from the perspective of the clinician, the practitioner, what is that about going on the pill that is problematic at that age?
It's just, I guess it is a synthetic form of hormonal contraception, and it shouldn't be a treatment for example, acne or heavy periods. Those are symptoms of something going, not wrong necessarily, but they're different areas that need support. Naturopathy offers that. We can support the body to balance our hormones and have less painful, heavy periods. And the pill is sort of a mask. So then when you have these women that they age and they decide that they want to have kids or they want to get off the pill, and then they do get off the pill, and they are experiencing so many different menstrual problems, and you ask them, well, what were your periods like before going on the pill? And a lot of them can't remember because it's been so long, and they've been taking this medication for ever, really, their whole menstruating life. And so it is so common that people, when they do go off the pill, then they have other hormonal issues as well, because your hormones are trying to balance it again, and your body's sort of trying to communicate with your ovaries and get them functioning properly again. But I think that is a big reason why I'm seeing so many female reproductive sort of issues in student clinic. Obviously not all of them have been on the pill, but it's sort of when it does mask that, the symptoms of, say, if someone had endometriosis or polycystic ovaries, so PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, if they, go on the pill, it masks those symptoms, and then they decide to go off the pill, and then everything kind of flares up again. And then, then those people do, not always, but generally they will have potentially issues with conceiving, and then that sort of, they do end up trying to go to doctors, trying to see, other practitioners, and then they end up seeing a naturopath as sort of a last resort, which, naturopathy shouldn't be a last resort, but I do understand why, because, we do sort of, we've been sort of taught that, when we have a health problem, we go to the doctor, and, fingers crossed they know what to do and how to sort of treat that. But, there is so much that naturopathy can offer, especially for female reproductive health, I guess, and, addressing, say, nutritional deficiencies alone. And, herbs are so powerful and beneficial for different menstrual problems. But yes, I think we're living in a world full of, synthetic hormones, and that's a whole another story, I guess, about sort of
the conversation for a whole nother episode that maybe we can have at a later stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Even like endocrine disruptors, we've got these, we're living in a sort of toxic world, our water's been treated. There's a lot of, our hormones are sort of a little bit confused with all our exposures to sort of different toxins. And but I think it's a really interesting time, and female hormones are sort of suffering, unfortunately, but naturopathy can absolutely help.
So it sounds a little bit like the first point of call is to allow hormonal balance to take place before, moving to a direction of either pregnancy or,
Absolutely.
a healthy menstrual cycle or anything like that.
Yeah. And even preconception care, that sort of before conceiving, and supporting the body through that. Having a baby is it's a big, it's a big toll on the body. You're giving your nutrients to grow another human, which is enormous. But and supporting the body before conceiving is, so important, and that's a big area of naturopathic care, is preconception care. But
I wanted to say, just rewind a little bit, and when you were talking about how we've been conditioned to go to the doctor when there's something wrong, You know, it's it's not an untrue statement. A naturopath is also a doctor, right? So going to the doctor can mean and should also mean the consideration of going to the doctor um, that is a naturopath, right? And I think I just remembered actually as you were talking, I think we had a conversation a few weeks back where I think, if I remember correctly, naturopaths in the States
Mm.
are actually referred to as a doctor. Am
So
I right? Or something along those lines?
yeah, so I actually was looking into this. They're able to call themselves a naturopathic doctor if they have their sort of training is similar to a Bachelor of Health Science, and they work in a student clinic, and it's sort of similar to our current, qualifications. They are able to call themselves a naturopathic doctor, but if someone calls themselves a naturopath, it means that they have only done sort of like a diploma, and they, and even here it's an unregulated field, unfortunately. We aren't governed by AHPRA, which is the Australian Health Practitioner Registration Agency, and we are probably we are the only allied health practitioner that is not governed by AHPRA, which is a shame. There's pros and cons to that, but for the community, you want to be seeing someone that has some sort of level of understanding of the human body and how these, very potent herbs and, different nutrients do interact with the body. But there are ways to sort of determine whether the naturopath you are seeing is qualified. Obviously, if they have some sort of qualification. So after December 2018, I think it was, to be able to call yourself a naturopath and be able to, anyone can really call themselves a naturopath, unfortunately, but to be able to register with an association, it's not AHPRA, but we've got lots of different natural health associations, and to become a member of them, you have to be a Bachelor of Health Science qualified person to be able to become a member of those associations. But before 2018, December 2018, if you had an advanced diploma, I think it was, you still are able to qualify to become a member, or remain a member. But even not pharmaceuticals, but nutraceutical companies, and supply companies that sell herbs, sort of your big brand names like Metagenics, not bioceuticals, but it used to be practitioner only, but now it's not. But different sort of practitioner brands, to be able to prescribe them, you now need to, obviously provide proof of your qualifications. So
is that right? I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah.
To be able to prescribe them, and often you'll find, if they are practitioner only products, if there are some that you can get behind the counter at pharmacies and stuff, which are now no longer practitioner only products. But if you were to go to a different practice and try and pick up a practitioner only product and purchase it there, they will usually ask for a prescription from your practitioner, just because they are, they can be. So
is MediHerb still a practitioner only brand? Yeah. Yeah. And here in Australia, just in case people don't know, there are some like health food stores or retailers that cater to natural medicines, and some of them have these practitioner only products because they employ naturopaths. That they have naturopaths on staff, so you can actually go and get some advice when you're in store if you just have a quick question or something like that. Yeah
absolutely. And that's so important as well, because you know, a lot of those products are, you know, I think especially after the whole COVID period, we sort of, what I saw is a lot of people that did self-prescribe, and they heard that, you know, zinc was great to take. So they started taking heaps of zinc or different sort of herbs that had been recommended to them. And we've got this sort of collective mentality that more is better when it comes to medication or natural supplements, which is not necessarily the case. Obviously, there's different forms of different minerals, for example, in products. So say zinc, you know, there's different forms of zinc, and some are more absorbed than others and more readily available more bioavailable in the body. And, you know, that's the same for, say, magnesium, but then also with herbs, you know, some are, you know, you when the dosage recommendation is 2 tablets a day or whatever, or with food, you know, people go, I don't need to do that because it's natural, or I'll take 4, or I'll triple it, I'll take 6 or something. And, you know, that is dangerous. So that's why when those products are practitioner only, it's because they are actually really potent, they are powerful, and, you know, they do as well. Natural medicine doesn't, just because it is natural, it doesn't mean that there are no side effects or, you know, potential interactions with other medications that people are taking, or, you know, medications for different conditions. So someone with high blood pressure, you know, shouldn't be taking whatever, for example, or, you know, someone that's taking blood thinners, you know, shouldn't be taking other herbs. So there is a lot that goes into being a degree qualified naturopath, more so than I think anyone that I know sort of appreciates. It's taken me a very, very long time to get to where I am today, and which, you know, it's been an amazing journey, but it's a very in-depth degree.
Yes. Yeah. I'm really glad that you're making that point, that it's not a hobby degree. It's not a something that you do for shits and gigs, you know. This is a serious, on par with, you know, a medical degree, with you know, natural medicine, basically, as supporting the body in terms of, you know, outcomes. What I wanted to, if I can then just quickly go back to, because I purposely left this as last. You said that the third thing that you see the most is support with mental health issues. Yeah, let's talk about that, because of course I have a personal, you know, interest in that since I'm a counsellor. So for me, when I work with people, I will check in. So I'm not a naturopath. I just know a little bit about it, mostly because of my personal journey. But I will check in, do some of those baseline, you know, check-ins with my clients around, you know, how much they sleep and what is their, you know, what do they eat, and how much water they drink, because all of that, in my experience, affects a person's capacity to heal or even to take in new information. Because of course, by the time they get to me or a, you know, counseling practitioner, they're there for a reason. And like you said before, they've been putting up with, you know, stuff in their lives for an extended period of time, and putting up and putting up and putting up and putting up with things until they can't put up with stuff anymore. So by the time they get to you and they get to me, they're like up to here with crap, right? And so there are some basic things that I do, but tell me from your perspective. So I then refer one of my clients to you. How would you support one of my counseling clients, to help them with, you know, their mental health? What would that look like?
Absolutely. obviously depends on what their sort of presenting complaint is, what their symptoms are, what their experience is. But we use, we assess what's going on in their lives, and then we also assess their their lifestyle, which is so important, and their diet as well, which is also very, very important. I think, we use antidepressants as a bit of a Band-Aid. We want to look at what got you here, what got you to that state, and support the body out of that as well. And also,
what's a natural antidepressant? So I know the answer to this, but for the audience, what's a natural antidepressant?
Herb-wise?
Well, anything. Yeah.
Yes.
Tell me.
Well, there's herbs. There are herbs that, their action actually is, an antidepressant. We use like anxiolytics, which are to support anxiety, and adaptogens. There's a lot of, nervine tonics. There's lots of actions of different herbs that we sort of use to improve mood and, improve our sort of mental health. There are a lot of herbs that are amazing for that. I am conscious of recommending them because I don't want people to go and purchase them, especially because they are, they can have interactions with other medications. There's one that comes to mind, which, has interactions with the oral contraceptive pill, and can make that not as effective. And also, people that are on antidepressants and then think that they can take herbs on top of the antidepressants, which is dangerous as well. But, there's a lot that you can do to improve your mental health without, the use of herbs. There's nutrients as well. There's magnesium, B vitamins. There's a lot that even, vitamin D and getting out in the sun and being outdoors. We spend a lot of time indoors these days. We spend a lot of time sitting down, moving more, move more outside. That's hitting two birds with one stone. But, do things that you enjoy as well. There's a great tool to actually schedule into your calendar time for yourself. And I think after COVID and lockdowns, we became a lot, it was literally called isolation. We socially isolated ourselves from other people. And I think as well after that time, I felt quite socially anxious after that, and going back into social settings and social sort of, interacting with other people, I felt quite anxious about that. But, that's why my business name is The Pillars. There's a lot of those pillars that we sort of have to meet to sort of balance and optimize our health. There's nutritional pillars, there's movement, sleep, connection. Connection's a big one. But we are social beings. We need to connect with other people. And, having people that we can talk to, like yourself, trusted individuals that, where we don't feel judged, and, you can share sort of the way you are feeling and being open with yourself. And there's so many mindfulness apps and tools that we can use these days to support our mental health. Even journaling, it's such a simple thing, but at the end of the day, before going to bed, and writing down 3 good things that happened that day, or or literally journaling anything that comes to mind, whatever you want to write down, but being more present in your day. And I think we need to stop being so hard on ourselves as well. We're sort of conditioned to meet the daily grind, sleep when I'm dead, or whatever that saying is. But, we need to, I guess, in a sort of grim way, our time is limited here, and we need to make the most of it, and enjoy the time that we do have. And, spending, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours in front of a computer screen all day, sitting down in a brightly lit room, is not necessarily healthy for anyone. I've done that myself for years, and, it's draining.
Yeah, it's draining in so many ways. I mean, when I start to feel, for me personally, when I start to feel like my soul is dying because I've just been doing like the computer screen thing, I'm just like, okay, get up, move, stretch. I do the silent disco thing in the house, put headsets in and I just dance around the house while I cook dinner or whatever, like, and.
I do absolutely love it. Like,
Yeah.
you feel like you're in a little bit of a nightclub at times, and you just
Yeah.
hope neighbors can't see you.
Oh, who can? Well, hopefully they'll inspire them. But anyway, like, she's doing the ugly dance again.
Yeah. I love it. Love it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, all of those things are so important. And it's just what I'm observing most is due to the last 2-3 years that we've had with this COVID time. It's not just the isolation, it's this reprogramming of um, of the way we see ourselves in the world, meaning that the answer lies in somebody else's hands outside of us.
Mm.
It's so important to remember that we actually have the power. It's not, it's, it's really, it's a disempowering to believe that only, like, that one size fits all, and that we have no choice or responsibility for ourselves, that we have to go to a seeming expert and they will give us what to do, and we take one pill or one something and then that's it. What I think is really important and really beautiful with this conversation, with your modality, my modality, is that the emphasis is on the collaboration, meaning, yes, I have some tools and I'm trained to do certain things, but I can't change your life and give you a band-aid. You and I have to work together and collaborate, and you need to go home and be able to feel or empower yourself to take action in order to make a change in your life. Like,
Absolutely.
it's not like, nobody pays me or you to give them a solution and the person has no responsibility at all. So
Mm.
it's not, what I'm trying to say is that with natural modalities, with a holistic modality, the emphasis is on collaboration. It's not on it's not a parent-child dynamic or authority lesser than dynamic. It's an equal collaborative approach, which is so different and so important, like critical.
Absolutely. And I think, giving people the tools to do it themselves. When you think about the length of time that people have experienced different symptoms, you just can't expect it to happen in a 7-day course of antibiotics. That it's people. I'm not putting the blame on people, but there's I mean, talking about myself included, you kind of do a certain behavior, or you pick up a habit that you impacts your health long term, and then you kind of expect it to just resolve overnight, and that's not what naturopathy is. And I think it's hard as
It's
well
not what holistic counseling is either. Yeah.
I don't think any sort of holistic practice or modality is that's not what we that's just
That's
not
not
the
what,
way that
yeah.
it's not the way that we do work. But I think, yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. There's someone outside distracting me.
What I'm finding as well is I'm having to be intentional and mind my words, because the whole point of a podcast like this is to educate, yes, but also to inspire people to take action more towards a collaborative approach to their health and well-being, not to come across as too judgy and then they're going to shy away and not take that leap. So I'm mindful of my words. That's not the intention at all. It's not about pointing fingers and it's not about judging. It's just to have a point of difference, to understand, because like what you said in the beginning with naturopathy, when people understand what they're getting into and what the intention is and what the point is, then they can make a conscious choice, make a conscious, inspired and empowered choice. Because in counseling, quite often, the mindset of a victim means that there is like a belief of hopelessness about, you know, the power someone has to change their lives. So those sorts of belief systems, the victim belief systems, have to change. And when, you know, if you and I are presenting or having this conversation and presenting these holistic modalities in the form of, well, it's a collaborative you know, approach to healing or to support, then from the word go, I already believe that you have the power to do what you need to do, as you believe that I have the power to help you, you know, like with a client. So it's this really beautiful dynamic, and that's sort of the point of, you know, this you know, or I hope that this is the point that people will, or this is what people will get out of this conversation, because it's important. It's in that way, it's a foundational difference to going to a medical doctor. It's just a different approach, because a person's innate ability to make a change is absolutely invited and encouraged. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, you know, and I think that's a big part of being a naturopath, is just supporting that person. And, you know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. You know, I want to give you the tools to change your life and to better your health. And, you know, I'm just here to support you. It's not me doing the work, really. I'm just giving you those tools. And, you know, and that's so empowering, really, to be able to, you know, I said earlier, to reclaim your health, to reclaim, you know, your body as your own.
And through understanding and taking action, because that's just it. You understand what you're going to do. You like you would have, like you did with me, right? When I went and saw you first, we sat down, we had that big ass long, amazing consultation, and you asked me so many questions that were, you know, like even I had to sit there and think a couple of times, I don't actually think that I ever thought about this. You know, but it got me thinking, it got me considering things about my life that I didn't even realize I needed to think about, which is, you know, thanks to you. Yeah.
And I think, you know, myself included, there's still areas that, you know, I do talk to someone else about and go, how have I not ever thought of that before? Or, you know, what, you know, and I think just being more conscious of the choices we make and how they do, you know, impact our health long term, and, you know, physical and mental, just being more conscious. I think that being more conscious in every aspect of our lives will, you know, better our health, really. But yes, we do ask a lot of questions, and they don't seem relevant at the time, but it does for us. It kind of paints that big picture, and that's, it gives us so much information. And then we've got these things called schematics, and it's like a mind map, really, and you sort of put all the different body systems and you link them, and you go, why is this happening? Oh, it's because of that. And it paints this whole big picture for us, which is, when you do look at it, and I've tried to do one for my own health at times, and it's so interesting, and just how everything in the body does relate. Everything literally that we do, our choices, subconscious or not, it's all related, it's all connected.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, there's absolutely no doubt about that at all. If mental health can be connected to your gut, then take my word for it, it's all connected. Seriously connected. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just trying to think in my brain, have I addressed everything that I wanted to address? Let's quickly talk about, right? So if somebody wanted to, like, really resonates with this and they have some issues and they wanted to go and see a naturopath, would you please share, first of all, the amazing student clinic, or about the student clinic at Endeavour?
Absolutely. So it's called the Endeavour Wellness Clinic, and I've obviously only been to the Sydney campus, but it's on campus at Endeavour College, which is, if you're in Sydney, it's opposite Central Station in Broadway, and it's a student-run clinic. We have naturopathy, nutrition, acupuncture, remedial and relaxation massage. We've got Chinese remedial massage, which is called Tui Na. Also offer homeopathy and myotherapy. I think that's all of them. But it's an amazing way to see practitioners. Obviously, we're students, but we're at the end of our degree, and we've all sort of met the prerequisites to get there. So all of those students are almost qualified naturopaths, or practitioners of whatever modality you're seeing. But it's a heavily discounted consultation fee, obviously, because we are students, but it allows us to get the experience we need to go on and see clients when we do graduate. So it encourages people to come in, and I personally have seen a lot of different patients, which I'm so grateful for. But it just, each person that walks in the door and sees us, they are so unique, and their needs are so unique, and their stories are so unique. And, as I was saying before, there's so many people that have not been heard by their doctors, or get told that, there's nothing wrong, your blood tests have come back and they're fine. That's another completely opening up a can of worms there. But, the reference ranges on their pathology, which is not their optimal range of reference range. So it's not necessarily optimal health. But, there's people that come in and go, well, these are my blood tests or whatever, and my doctor's told me that I'm fine, but I've still got the symptoms, and I've tried this, nothing's worked. So now what? And, being able to go through that, for example, pathology with them, and to sort of explain to them that their health isn't necessarily optimal, or sort of putting that puzzle back together and going, well, this could be why you're experiencing these different symptoms, and this is what we can do. It's incredible for that person. So if you are thinking of seeing a naturopath, nutritionist, acupuncturist, whatever, seeing them at one of the student clinics is an amazing way to access that modality at a discounted rate. We are all under the supervision of a supervisor, so they are a qualified either naturopath, nutritionist, or whichever modality. So everything that we prescribe, everything that we say to our patients is, it's supervised. It's also, to just ensure that it's safe and appropriate for that person. But yeah, it's a very powerful way of healing. And I've seen some incredible results.
I will definitely vouch for that, for the supervision, for the consultation, for the discounted rate, for all of it, and wonderful service, and always, always very professional, very professional. And by the way, if you are in Sydney and you want to go and see Endeavour Clinic in the city, Central Station, then highly recommend. It's a beautiful clinic. It's just been redone recently, so it's stunning to be in. Stunning.
It is.
It's beautiful. Highly recommend it.
Yes, those renovations did get completed recently. I think it was just after the lockdowns when the campus opened again. So I'm very lucky to be doing my clinic, my time in student clinic in that clinic. The last one was, it was okay, but now it is pretty beautiful. So I am very lucky.
It is beautiful. It really is beautiful. And of course, I mean, Endeavour, it's not, I'm not sponsored by Endeavour or anything like that. I'm not just plucking one, but just to say that if you want to give these modalities a try and you want to test it out, it's always good to go to a student clinic to try it out first, because you're going to get great service at a discounted rate. You get to try some things and then, develop a rapport perhaps with a student that you can then continue to have a relationship with after, they get qualified full-time, like
absolutely. They might even end up on your podcast.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think Nature Care has the same kind of thing, and there's a few natural therapy colleges around Australia that do this. So rather than students having to go and look for placement outside of the college, there's actually a clinic that is that offers that. There's a clinic within the college that provides those practitioner hours for the students. And, it's good business as well, because it provides a bit of a revenue stream for the college as well. Yeah.
Yes.
But anyway, all right. I've got two more quick things, and then we're going to finish, because I'm also aware that you need to go, and we're already at an hour. Oh my God, I could literally talk to you for hours. All right. So the other thing that I wanted to say, so with this broadcast and the audience that I have, has a spiritual framework, right, as well. There's certainly an aspect of the audience that is that practices spirituality and has a spirit, a conscious spirit embodiment. And with that sensitivity comes a sensitivity to, to different energy shifts and, cosmic kind of influences and photonic light increases and eclipses and, planetary transits and all of that sort of stuff. What I wanted to share, perhaps rather than ask a question, but maybe you can validate, was that when I was in clinic seeing you the last time, we discussed this specifically, this kind of level of sensitivity, and the tonic that I was given was adjusted according to this sensitivity. So what I want to say to you, audience, is that spiritual awakening and a deepening of your energetic sensitivity that often comes through as ascension symptoms that can be physical other than mental and emotional as well, can also be supported by naturopathy. You can go and find practitioners that understand this, yeah, and they can help you um, find, support your body with ascension symptoms, things like being tired more, or needing to sleep more, or not being able to sleep, or the central nervous system being over active because of embodiment of some, funky energy, or like Uranus is extra, active right now in Taurus, and it's, hitting a planet, and as it's hitting, a particular transit, your body's feeling it like a, like a zap of electricity. All of those things can be supported with naturopathy. So I wanted to say that, because this is not something that's commonly discussed in the sort of more mainstream. People talk about ascension symptoms as a byproduct of sensitivity and spiritual awakening, but they don't often talk about, they talk about it in terms of suffering. Oh, this is that. But they don't talk about it in terms of how can I help myself to, support my body, support my mind, support my emotions as this is happening. Yeah. So I wanted to say that I've had that experience, that I certainly feel very much understood and supported in this way by you. And so I want to open that up for people to consider as well as they're moving through their own journey.
Absolutely, and because we do utilize so many different sort of tools. We've got so many tools in our toolbox, I guess, and flower essences are one, which is we work with the energetics, and even the energetics of our herbs. There's sort of different herbs that are warming herbs or cooling herbs, or sort of help with sort of dry conditions, or we do work with energetics as well, but flower essences are so powerful, and some naturopaths do at the student clinic as well do utilize homeopathics as well, which is they're such it's such a low dose, but does stimulate such an incredible response in the body, and even using we've got such minimally invasive sort of techniques as well. We in a consultation we can use clinical examination, where we assess someone's blood pressure, and look at a physical assessment, looking at people's nails, their tongue, their eyes, their skin, and also iridology is a powerful tool that we have as well, which we don't use it to diagnose a condition, but we also use it to sort of look at the sort of predispositions that a person may be predisposed to. So say like lymphatic stagnation, for example, or we look at someone's eyes, and you can determine whether someone's chronically stressed. When people say they're not stressed, but they've got these significant nerve rings in their iris, I have them. I have them quite significantly, so I can speak for myself there. But there's a lot that we can tell from someone's iris, which is it's so incredible. And naturopathy is, we're often sort of thought to be this sort of wishy-washy witch almost potion making sort of image, where it is an evidence-based degree. It's we use science to support our treatments, but also we rely on traditional knowledge, which is these herbs and these different forms of treatment have been used for thousands and thousands of years. And we sort of, I think after the whole pandemic, we did sort of revert back to looking at maybe these options weren't the best options, and how we sort of reverted back to natural medicine. Well, that's what I saw personally, and a lot in in my community and social circle. I saw people coming to me and asking questions about, I heard that vitamin D, can you tell me more information about that, for example? And people sort of looking at different options, which is amazing. You know, it's an incredible time for me to be in this industry and sort of starting my career in it, which I'm so grateful for. But yeah, there is so much that naturopathy has to offer people, and the best way to experience that is to come in yourself and sort of check it out.
Okay. Last question, and then we'll finish up. So if an audience member was to say, well, you know, what can I do today to move towards a healthier me in a holistic way, what would your recommendation be?
I've actually thought about this, and it's a tough one to sort of just suggest one simple thing, but you know, there's so many like small things that would be so beneficial for people. And you know, even one of reaching 8 hours of sleep a night, for some people that seems impossible, but you know, just sort of incorporate a routine of winding down before bed and actually, you know, going to bed earlier, if it means that, you know, and if you've got to get up earlier, go to bed earlier. We want quality sleep as well. So yes, you may be sleeping 8 hours a night, but you know, you're waking up every few hours and, you know, needing to go to the toilet, for example. You know, it's not necessarily quality, you know, restorative sleep. Sleep is so important.
Sorry, can I just, audience, did you hear that? Quality restorative sleep. So meaning that sleep's not just something that happens, there's a point to sleeping. Yeah.
There absolutely is.
Sorry, I just wanted to like really drive that point home. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think sleep is so important, and it's something that we, you know, we all know it is important, but we don't realize like what it actually does. There's an incredible book if people are interested in, you know, finding out more information about sleep. It's called Why We Sleep. It's by an author called, I think it's Matthew Walker. I hope I got that right, but it is one of my favorite books of all time. And you may find that while you read the book about sleep, you will become very sleepy. And he actually says, he says in, I think it's the first chapter, that it's the highest form of compliment for him, that if you were to fall asleep while reading his book. But sleep is so important, you know, moving more, being a little bit more active if we're sitting down all day and sort of we've got this sedentary life, you know, if walk to the shops instead of driving, if you know, your local shop, or, you know, you're going to a restaurant locally, walk there instead. And then I guess nutritional, I tried to come up with 3 different different suggestions for each pillar of health. So that, you know, nutritional, eat more protein. We don't necessarily, you know, majority of the time we don't meet our protein needs each day. You know, eat more protein, and then movement, you know, move more. And, you know, walking is an incredible form of exercise that we sort of don't utilize that often anymore, because we, you know, sort of rely on our cars. And I know I do it for short trips where I could be walking. But, you know, getting outdoors and walking is so powerful and so great for our health. And yeah, sleep.
So, sorry, Dom, I'm just going to say, so I would be one of those clients that would say, oh, that's so fucking boring. I hate walking. And I really do. And I don't do, unless it's raining and there's no one on the street, I don't go for a walk ever. But what I do then is I dance more, like if I need to, right? So you know, meaning I think your point is there are simple things you can do. And if it's not one, it's another one. You got to find your sweet spot.
Absolutely. I used to be one of those people that hated walking. Absolutely hated it. I just thought it was boring. But now I find that if I can put my headphones on and listen to a podcast and walk, I could walk all day. I could walk all day, all night, when I'm listening to something that's, you know, stimulating me and engaging me. I try to be a little bit more active when I'm listening to like my uni lecture recordings or whatnot. And you know, I try, and I'm one of those people that I can't sit still for a long time. And when I'm listening to my uni, I'm usually cooking as well, or I'm doing something with my hands. I feel like I I absorb information better as well. You know, you got to figure out what works for you, I guess, but that's me. I love doing stuff while I'm listening, and I find that I'm really engaged. If I'm walking and I'm listening, I'm usually not on my phone. So I feel like I am absorbing that information, and I love listening to podcasts. I mean, finding things that you're interested in. You know, people love their crime podcasts. They love, you know, those conversational podcasts. I personally love, you know, ones about health. So I am always listening to podcasts that are about topics that I want to learn more about. And that's just me. I mean, that probably sounds really boring for people, but I chuck a podcast on and could walk forever. Don't quote me on that. I could.
Yeah. No, that's, I mean, look, I just wanted to demonstrate for people that when, you know, you're talking about something and I'm talking about something, it's not, again, it's not the one size fits all. The whole point of this is the conversation and that collaborative effort to find out what will serve you the best, what is within reason in your life, what are the changes that you can readily make without having to hit a chronic, you know, danger crisis point.
Absolutely.
You know, so that you are managing yourself before you get to the crisis.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be the hope. If they haven't, you know, come to you in a crisis.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Well, there's a lot that we could do, but yes, I think move more, sleep better. Easier said than done, I know, but, you know, eat more protein, drink more filtered water, or more water in general. You know, there's such minor things, you know, they are quite easy to do. I mean, sleep can be a hard one, but, you know, even putting your, you know, not going on your phone before bed or not looking at screens before bed, that will improve your sleep and it will improve your sleep quality. It's just sort of implementing those things that a lot of people, you know, don't want to do. But yeah, there are simple things. You don't need a Bachelor of Health Science to tell you that, but you know, those small things but they will absolutely benefit your health in the long term. And if there are more complex things that are going on, absolutely come and see a naturopath or jump into student clinic and start your journey.
And if you want to know exactly why those simple things are so important, when you go for your consultation, you can then discuss that in a deeper way with your naturopath or with Dom here. And okay, so speaking of that, so you'll be at Endeavour Clinic from January next year onwards. So what I might do is I might add in the comments the details for Endeavour, and also if you don't mind, can people follow you on social media in some way, or
absolutely
you want to share?
Yeah, so my Instagram is probably the best way to contact me. My Instagram handle is thepillars.naturopathy. Pillars with double L, pillars, so the pillars of health, but the pillars.naturopathy. My website is thepillarsnaturopathy.com, and you can find my contact details on my website as well. But feel free to get in touch via Instagram or email me. I'm always more than happy to help out and answer any questions that you may have. But yeah, I'm constantly trying to post more information on my Instagram to sort of help others with general information. The more specific stuff is probably more suited for a consultation. But yeah, absolutely happy to help out when and if you need. But yeah, I'd love to see you, whoever's listening, in student clinic. I'm currently having a break for the remainder of the year from seeing clients, but I'll be back seeing clients in January 2023, which sounds like a really, really long way away, but it's really not. So I'll be back there in the blink of an eye. But yeah, loving my time in student clinic and loving seeing different people and, you know, from all walks of life. And, you know, this is you know, it's so nice to kind of put all the knowledge that you've learned over such a long period of time all together, and sort of finally see my future career. And you know, I'm just so excited for my future career and helping people like yourself as well.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. And you already have, that's the truth. Yeah, hugely, amazingly. Okay. So thank you. I think unless you have some closing comments or anything in closing you want to leave us with, we can finish.
I think that's all. I think we've covered everything. But yeah, I'm so happy to have had this conversation with you and sort of shine the light on naturopathy and give people a little bit more information about what we do and what we offer.
Excellent. And if I will be inviting you to do this again at some point in the future, so we can maybe talk about some more specific things from a naturopathic perspective, and maybe that connection, that mind, body, emotion, spirit connection. Talk about that a little bit more in depth. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I'd love that. It's so important.
Amazing. Yay. Thank you, sweetheart. Truly, I'm so grateful to you. This is really amazing. I really, really wanted to have a naturopath on the podcast, and now that's done. Tick.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It was so good.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, darling. We'll talk soon, okay?
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Bye. Bye, everybody. Thanks for being a part of this podcast. And any questions, just put it in the comments and then we'll get back to you. And I will share all of Dom's handles and contacts in the comments as well. Okay. Ta-da.
Bye.
Bye.